Hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is another Christmas in May coffee cup. It is a Godiva coffee cup. I actually don't remember when I got this. Probably after we moved out here, so earlier than 10 years ago. That's all I can remember. We're going to be hearing a lot of clicking in the background. My husband is off destroying villains in his game right now. Anyway, so today's tea, because Godiva is a chocolate company, today's tea is a mix of my favorite chocolates, which is the white chocolate Mocha and the chocolate Hazelnut. So hopefully this is going to be a really chocolatey tea. Not as chocolatey as I had hoped, but definitely a good chocolate. I think in the future, it'll be best to keep mixing the chocolate hazelnut with things like the salted caramel and the cinnamon vanillas and stuff like that, and the white chocolate if I'm going to mix it with the spice dragon and stuff like that. They don't really meld into a really chocolatey tea together. It's not bad, it's just not full of chocolate explosion, which is what I had hoped for. Still, it's a really good tea. Chocolate on a kind of overcast and day. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, God, I love my tea, guys. Love my tea. All right, so today we are on day 2 of ColourPop week, and today we're going to be talking about the Super Shock shadows. As I noted last time, there'll be a lot of looking down at my notes because there's a lot. There's pages of it, so there's that. And the other reason I have to look down at my notes is because there were a lot of the Super Shock shadows. In fact, I have almost as much on the Super Shock shadows by themselves as I do have on all the lippy products that I've tried. And one of them I just received. So a different formula that I just received, I tried it out today, so it is going to be more of a first impression. I split up the eyeshadows because there are so many Super Shock types. There is the matte, the satin, the pearlized, the ultra glitter, the metallic, the ultra metallic, and now they have the pressed pigment Super Shocks. So yeah, there's a lot of them to talk about. And let's just get into it. Let's just start to get into it. One of the biggest issues with the Super Shocks, I can't talk. One of the biggest issues with the SS shadows is storage. Now, these are easy to depot, and I have depotted some and put them in the new empty ColourPop palette. This is a 24 shadow palette. It will hold 18 of the Super Shocks because the Super Shocks are actually bigger than the pressed, and this down here is something else. That's a Sephora collection shadow. You can ignore that entirely. But what I've heard is that the Super Shocks dry out very quickly, even when they are kept stored in their containers very tightly. My plan is to put the whole palette in a storage bag, push out the air, and hope that that helps. Because storage, I mean, one, if they are an individual shadow, I find I don't reach for my individuals that much. I have several of them that I actually really like, and I just don't use them that much. And 2, space. These take up a lot of space, and I understand why they have them like this if they do have a formula that dries out very quickly. But I don't have the space to store as many of these as I have, which is quite a few. I got at least 2 or 3 of almost every formula. Now, how well these work really does depend on the formula or type. I find the mattes and the satins and the pressed pigment Super Shock work better than the glitter and metallic Super Shocks. I also find that some of them, most of them actually, there's only one that isn't, are very fussy in how you apply them. Most work better with a finger. Some, most can, I should say, work well enough, not as well as with the finger, but with the, my hair's crazy today, with a sponge tip applicator, which is something I don't mind using if I need to. Not my preferred way of doing things. I actually much prefer a brush, but some of these do not work with a brush at all, which makes them not so much on my favorites list. In fact, I've actually already decluttered 2 of the ones that don't work well with the brush and given them to my daughter because she fell in love with them. But as a result of that, Super Shocks, with a couple exceptions, will probably not be high on my list to buy, even if they come out with new colors. A couple of the formulas I actually really like and probably wouldn't mind getting more of, although considering how much I just spent, not anytime soon. I did find that the ones that do work with a brush, for the most part, work better with a stiffer brush, but we will get into that as we talk about the individual pieces. I believe that some of that issue with the formula working has to do with the kind of the moussey texture. As you can see, they're very easy to smoosh around. I had similar problems with the NYX I Love You So Mochi palette, which has a very similar moussey, you can easily press it around texture. They do seem to work better than this formula, but at the same time, I do believe the formula is part of the reason why they work so much better with, say, a finger or a sponge rather than a brush. Okay, so now that we've talked about them overall, let's talk about the individual formulas. I'm going to start with the Pearlized. When I bought the Pearlized, they only had one shadow in that formula, and that was this Ibiza, which is this very pretty green. Like I said, these things work really well with your finger. And there's it swatched. These have a really, really pretty finish, and they have a beautiful buildable color. It works with the brush very well, and this is one of the 2 or 3 that I would buy more of. Like I said, though, this was the only color they had, and that's kind of disappointing because, honestly, I think the pigmentation is beautiful. A lot of the Super Shocks, I shouldn't say a lot, some of the less well-performing ones, the pigmentation doesn't live up to the promise in the pan, and I think this one does, as you can see. So I would purchase more of these Pearlized eyeshadows. They work very well for me with the brush or with the finger or with the sponge. I don't try not to use my finger too often. I don't like it. So yeah, I kind of hoping that they come out with more in this formula, although I've already spent so much that maybe it's a good idea if they don't. So the Pearlized, I think, is worth the purchase, particularly if you're into greens. So go ahead, and if you're interested, go ahead and pick that one up. I don't think you'd be disappointed. Another one that worked really well for me was the Statins. This is Acorn. One of the things that I found with a number of these Super Shocks is that they were color dependent, meaning that the darker colors worked much better than the lighter colors. In the case of the Statins, I did not find that to be the case. They both, the Statins, both darks and lights, work very well for me. They work with a brush. No need to use the sponge tip applicator unless you want to. It has a really nice subtle sheen on the eye, and again, like the Pearlized, I really love these and wouldn't mind getting more. I have several of them in my box, although I'd have to remember which ones they were. I believe these ones were the Statins. Let me take a look. Yeah. this row right here is my Statins. As you can see, I've hit pan. That, I believe, is more because of the moussey texture than the fact that I've used a lot. Although that blue has become a favorite one that I have used quite frequently. I will go ahead and swatch a couple of these other ones. Actually, we'll just go ahead and do that. As you can see, the color with the Statins, it doesn't matter if it's light or dark. They all work fairly well. They do build up beautifully on the eye, and you can use a brush. So yeah, these have become something that I would definitely buy more of. And I recommend them. I recommend the Statins. And the nice thing about the ColourPop site is when you are looking through their selection, they do have a place on the side, on the left-hand side of the screen, where you can filter. So you can choose the ones you want to go ahead and look at, and that way you can get rid of the ones that don't work so well if you don't want to try them, if you want to make sure that what you purchase is something you're going to use and that you're going to be happy with. Then you can just fill in the dots for the ones that you want, and then anything that doesn't fit, that will be out, and you'll be sure that the colors that you see, the shadows that you see, will be the ones that you are interested in purchasing in terms of the type of formula and finish that you want. Next, we have the mattes. I have a brand new matte that just came in today. It's called Snapdragon. I haven't even touched this one yet. Another pretty green. I was trying to build up a number of greens to work with for green looks. And then there's this one that's called Melrose that I got in a trio box set. That is also a matte. Like the, I think the mattes of these are amongst the best performing of their colors. As you can see, they are really pigmented. The colors are, honestly, they're beautiful. I've not been much of a mattes girl, really. And then I tried some Tarte mattes. And as we know, I'm trying to get rid of my Tarte. So these are actually really nice. They're very affordable and are a great replacement for Tarte mattes for when I do want mattes. These do better with a stiffer brush versus a softer brush. Okay, so like this Sephora collection, the brush is really kind of on the soft side. Some of these floofier brushes I have are really kind of soft, and they're very thick and floofy. But then there are brushes that have a very stiff bristle. They do better with these stiffer bristles. This is the Vasanti. Well, this is just a Vasanti eyeshadow brush that I found that they do better with. Obviously, if they're going to do better with a stiffer brush, they do much better with a sponge-tipped applicator as well, or your finger. So yeah, these are something I would recommend for the mattes. Like I said, for me, I'm not a matte person, but these are beautiful. The colors are great, the pigmentation great. It's something that I can work with my brushes. So I highly recommend the mattes in the Super Shocks as well. So we've got 3 of them. We've got the satin, the pearlized, and the mattes. And now we're going to get into some that didn't perform quite so well for me. So they have glitter, metallic, and ultra metallic. These were the most problematic of the shadows that I've purchased. And in fact, those, I believe it was an ultra glitter, a couple of ultra glitters that I gave to my daughter that she really loved. They have the least color payout on a brush, and they are the ones that I'm least likely to repurchase. We will go ahead and talk about them individually, but especially the ultra glitter and the metallic. For some reason, the ultra metallic performed better than the metallic, and I find that kind of odd, but you know, I don't know what they do with their formula to make that work the way they do. So let's talk about the ultra metallic, which I have to look up. That's an ultra glitter. I have them all down here, just sort of sitting here waiting for me to pick one up. Here we go. So we've got an ultra metallic. These work okay with a stiffer brush. This is the color Wild Thoughts. These look okay with a stiffer brush, obviously with a sponge or a finger. They will also do well. Gorgeous pigmentation. They have a much brighter shine when you apply them with a sponge tip applicator or with your finger. They're very beautiful, and of the three, these ultra metallics are the ones that I'd be most likely to repurchase. I have a couple of others in here, I believe. Yeah. So these three here are ultra metallics. Again, you're looking at just some beautiful color. And that's one, you can see some of the problems that you can have with the metallics and the glitters right there. You can see how sheared out that is. So this was somewhat color dependent. And that purple is so, it came down here. But, you know, the darker colors I would recommend. And the ones that I have, I'm generally very happy with. And, but I'm not sure I would buy much more. And I love the metallic. I love the satin and metallic shines. But like I said, they're more fussy when it comes to whether or not using a brush or a sponge or whatever. So not among my favorite in the group. So just started to do a cleanup. As you can see, the pigments do stay. The colors do stay. I don't like fussy eyeshadows, that's all. I much rather be able to use a brush and be done with it. That's just me. I know some people don't mind using their fingers or whatever. That I'm not into that, really. Okay, so the next two, they actually perform very similarly, and that is the regular metallic, not the ultra metallic, but the regular metallics and the ultra glitter. They only have ultra glitter, they don't have just glitter. They have ultra glitter. The metallic, they have metallic and ultra metallic. So I'm talking about the regular metallic, not the ultra metallic. They both perform fairly similarly. And the thing that you're going to see here, you can be like, what are you talking about? We're going to get some color. They have some decent color. They're beautiful in the pot. They're beautiful swatched. They don't work as well on the eyes, at least not with a brush. And I've actually had some issues with them working with a sponge. You'll see that the lighter colors perform less well than the darker colors. So those are the two that I was holding. As you can see, they're kind of patchy, and they're worse on the eye, especially when you use a brush. They're kind of patchy. The color payout is nowhere near what it looks like in the pot. This is that purple. This is Whittle, which should be a beautiful grape. As you can see, I've also hit pan on that. I think with this one, I was just really trying to find a way to get it to work, and I couldn't get it to work. The color is very different. I was very disappointed in these, to be honest with you. This one is an ultra glitter. This one is the metallic. In terms of on the eye, apparently not here, but on the eye, the ultra metallic had a touch more color and no real glitter to it. When I used a brush on the ultra glitters, all I got was glitter. I got no color. I think one of those ones that I have in here, I said was an an ultra metallic and might actually be, no, you're an ultra metallic. I thought this lighter green was actually one of the glitters, or was it an ultra glitter or just a regular metallic, but it's an ultra metallic. Anyway, in terms of using a brush, these are least likely to work well with a brush. They need the sponge, or they need the finger. They need the finger to get any kind of color payout. And even then, it's not really a decent color payout. It's better. It's just not. They look great when you put them on the sponge or on your finger. They do not perform well to me. They come off sheer. This one is the Ultra Glitter. It has more glitter than color. Just really disappointing overall. The glitters in particular I found disappointing, not just because of the color issue, but these have a lot of fallout. I didn't experience a lot of fallout with the other ones that I've tried, but these have a lot of fallout, particularly glitter fallout, and not just when you're putting them on. But I noticed that through the day I get sparkly bits all over my face. Even when I just use them in the crease, if I just use them in little areas just to add a little pop, just a little bit on top of the lid or something, I would just get glitter all over my face. It was like, okay, you're going to do glitter? We're going to glitter you up everywhere. And I didn't like that at all. If I'm going to put on a glittery eyeshadow, I want it to stay put. And this really didn't stay put. The darker glitters have some color, whereas the lighter glitters, I didn't get any color at all. In fact, the two that I gave my daughter were both light glitters. They were colors that I would love to use like under my brow, and I could not get them to work in such a way that I felt that they were worth the effort. And so they give you some color, darker better than light, light's not so much, and none of them as much as you would see, as you could see from the color there, that it just isn't all that. There's not that much pigment for me. There's mostly glitter. Probably best as toppers. Someone coined a phrase that I really kind of liked on another channel, and that was sheer glittery chic. And that's what these seem to be kind of like. But again, just not something that I would reach much for. I prefer more color than what these guys give. Even with my glitters, I prefer more color. It's one of the reasons why I really loved the holiday palette from Urban Decay is the glitters in there. Most of them, one of them, Angel Fire, I think wasn't very good, but the rest of them gave me color and glitter and not a huge amount of fallout when I used it. I know some people complained about it, but for me, I still own it. It is a fantastic, glittery, beautiful palette, and these just did not live up to that. Not something I'd repurchase. So this last one that I have is a Super Shock Pressed Pigment, and this is the one that I've just received, and I'm already in love with it. I've only used it once in this particular eye look. This one is called Daddy, and it's beautiful. It looks powdery on my hand, but it actually has some decent pigment. It works with any brush. I have not found, I tried it with one of my stiffer brushes, but then I tried it in the crease with one of my softer crease brushes. It worked just as well with both. It's not fussy. It has beautiful pigment. I love it already. And these, if they make more of them, I don't know if they have more of the pressed pigment, but if they do make more of them, they are one that I wouldn't mind purchasing. So more of. I actually really like this, and yeah, really impressed. So out of them all, the glitter and the ultra glitter and the metallics are ones that I don't recommend. Most of the others are at least okay. The mattes are beautiful. The Pearlized and the Satin are beautiful, and I'm enjoying my first taste of the pressed Pigment Super Shock. And I would definitely look into more if I weren't going, I already spent too much. So those are the Super Shocks, and you can see why I decided to split these shadows into two different videos. It's just a lot. It's a lot. For anyone who's interested, depotting them is easy. I'm probably going to pass these two on to my daughter. Let's show you with this mat how to do this. This is actually, I was really surprised at how easy this was. I recommend a needle, a really small needle. And I have to take my glasses off to do this. So I'll just lift them up like that. If you look in there, you can see the edge of your pan. Stick your needle right next to the edge of the pan and the white plastic. Find a good spot. Find a spot where it looks like it's already got a bit of a space. And then you just pull it up and out it comes. Just like that. And it went right back in just like that too. Put a finger right there so that you can hold it. Make sure to put your needle where you can see it. They do have kind of a goopy crap on the bottom. You can wipe that off easily enough and then dry it down with something. You're still going to have issues making the sticker stick, but the stickers come off fairly easy too. They do not apply their stickers in such a way that makes it difficult to remove them. Usually. It's quite possible I've had this one long enough, sitting in my drawer long enough that it's like, nope, I'm stuck. Just work along the outer edge until you find a piece that will come up easily enough. You do want to kind of be careful when you're pulling it, because you don't want to tear your label. But once you can get in there and get it up, it should come up pretty easily. Just like that. And then you can put that on the bottom of your pan. Like I said, it's unlikely to stay there, but if you're putting it in a Z palette and you have it on the bottom of your pan, your Z palette will hold it in place. And there you go. Put it in where it belongs. So they're easy to depot if you want to depot them, if you want to risk depotting them. I will, and like I said, I will put them in a storage bag because they take up too much space otherwise. And just going to have to hope that the storage bag helps. And I have heard, like I noted earlier, that you can use an oil to reconstitute them if they dry out. So I will be talking about the actual palette a bit more in the next video when I talked about the pressed shadows, because there is less to go through on the pressed shadows. And so that's it for today. That's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen and that you will come back again. If you have, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell to let you know when I upload. And I hope we see you again. And if you do come by again, please don't forget to bring your cup of tea. That's gotten better with time. That's so good.